This is on the 1 hour. If you pull up the 1 day, you can see it looks like there was kind of a bull flag that formed here, where you see this consolidation followed by this run up, and it really happened out of nowhere. I mean, there really wasn't a reason for this, in my opinion. RSI was still pretty high, and not only that, this 50-day moving average, I mean, we're already around 36 to 54% away from that. So just having that random push up was kind of weird for NEO, in my opinion. And that's why sometimes you just have to look at the fundamentals of it. You know, I'm sure because of their conference that just recently ended, it has something to do with why this price has run up. Maybe they announced something at the conference, or maybe they just kind of painted a vision for their community. And that's why it's so important to paint a vision for the community, you know, really enhance the progression of where your company wants to go by speaking what your company wants to do, right? And speaking the vision in front of others. We got our sparkling water right there handy. So we're going to be taking some requests today. But that's pretty much the prediction for NEO right now. We're in this pennant. If you guys know how a pennant looks, if you're on our Discord, once again, the pennant is a breakout pattern. So if you go here to Trading 101, you can see exactly how this pennant forms up in that potential breakout, with that ascending support line, the descending resistance level that converge together. So we're going to continue to watch this. You can see the MACD right now, this fast line is starting to go under. So that's definitely a, you know, a indicator that prices are going to start dropping and swinging downwards. So let's go ahead and take some questions from the chat, guys. Let's just dive right into some questions here, being that we had some technical difficulties earlier. Let's see what people will have to say here. Somebody says NEBL. Interesting. Nebulous. Everybody likes that coin. Somebody says, hi, can we have a look at Pillar? Who do we have here? Solar Star Ninja is in the house. Jacquez. Sardell is here. Misha, good to have you. Chad Smith. Misha, we'll look at XRB for sure. Somebody says, can you do Link? Matt Marin, good to have you. Ali. Adrian said NEBL. Justin Gray said ZRX. Whatever Loop said wobby, wobby, wobby. Justin Cal says, do you remember me? I guess so, man. I think, did you change your... Oh, yes, you have the cow on your picture. That's hilarious. What's up, guys? Said, hey, Naeem. Good to have you. Koliati and Josh Bays. What else? Ezra's here. Jose Z. DJ Bean. Ryan Lozano. To the guy that says no YouTubers talk about Tron anymore. Who cares? You can't decide on your own investments. Ryan, that's hilarious. Somebody said, Amit, what are you up, Naeem? Regards from Mexico. That's funny. That is awesome. Regards from Mexico. Naeem the boss, Eeg. All right, guys, let's go ahead and look at XRB. A lot of us are looking at this coin, and I haven't had a chance to do much of a technical, being that it's on KuCoin, but I actually prepared this one today, being that it's on the title of the video. We want to make sure that we can fulfill those requests for those people watching this after it's already published, of course. So looking here at the 1 hour chart, you can see we're seeing some extreme volatility here with XRB. I actually got a message today on Kick. Somebody said, do you think XRB is going to make a comeback? I'm like, well, it's already had a pretty big comeback over the past couple of hours. Look, this was January 26th. As soon as we hit January 26th, 12 a.m. Isn't that sometimes kind of weird? Isn't that weird? That's just like look at that. January 25th, January 25th, January 25th, January 25th, January 26th, and then look what happens. Literally that same day, just... Isn't that just random? It's like, man, sometimes you question some things. So looks like we're finding a little bit of resistance here where we found past resistance levels here. So if we pull up our lines here, we'll go ahead and darken this a little bit. You can see our previous resistance line, looks like it was pretty strong resistance too. It was right around 171,000 Satoshis here. And we're on our way back to those previous resistance levels. So we're probably going to test these resistance levels, most likely break out of that in my opinion. If we pull up this MACD and this RSI, we can probably see exactly where we're at in terms of price levels. And you can see, yeah, for sure, we're pretty high right now. We're most likely going to test these levels here. You can see this fast line here is just now starting to interloop with the slow line. So that's also another sign that we're probably going to start seeing some horizontal price movement from there. So I think RaiBlocks has had a pretty nice breakout over the past couple of hours. Looking at the one-day chart, it's a little bit different in terms of determining the pattern. because you can see this is still the resistance line here. If it goes above that, the next resistance line is right around 220,000 Satoshis. So I think if it does make it out of this, let's see if we can pull up an auto fib here just to see Fibonacci levels. That would probably help with an analysis like this. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Mo. Ascending triangle on the 2-hour ICX chart. We'll go ahead and check that one out in just a second. So maybe we'll have to put up these Fibonacci automatically on our own here. So if we draw out this Fibonacci here, you can see, if you guys want to know how to use the Fibonacci, you can always go on this left-hand side and then click Fibonacci retracement and then do it on your own. Just go from the peak of the price. So let's go ahead and make sure we get the true peak here. Make sure there's no candle wicks inhibiting that. So we do the 8-hour chart. You can see here. So we'll do that Fibonacci retracement and see where the Fibonacci lines correspond, because that's a good way to look at entry and exit points, right? So we'll go ahead and post that right over here. Why is this not going through? Come on. So Fibonacci retracement. Okay, this is, oh, there you go. That's not how I wanted it. Okay. This chart's a little bit weird. This is KuCoin. Okay, there you go. And the only issue with this Fibonacci is, as you can see here, for some reason you have this. Okay, perfect. That works perfectly. So they have extra Fibonacci lines. So you can see here we're rolling into this yellow zone, entering this green zone. Looks like this previous resistance line right around 219,000 Satoshis is right in between that Fibonacci and the blue. I think based upon this chart, we do have a potential of swinging back. You can see the MACD is pretty much on the underside here, and I can certainly see this MACD starting to flip over. You can see it's starting to curve up, and if we were to pull this up, you can see the fast length here is the red, and you can see the signal length is at 9, fast length. Perfect. Just wanted to make sure this is right. So we'll actually increase that one right there. So you can see that fast line starting to peak up, and that's why we're seeing those higher price movements. So I think with XRB, there is a potential for this to start swinging. Now the other prediction I would have for this is what this price might end up doing, if we were to pull this chart up a little bit larger, is I think this price will end up, if we were to remove this Fibonacci so it doesn't confuse anybody, let me actually get some drawing tools open here too. This is a little bit of a newer chart here, so it's not as much capabilities, but what will end up happening is we'll see this horizontally ride itself to this right hand side, and if that's the case, I think that's also fine for XRB, because that means that it will give it time to really recharge itself, to really see a breakout in the near future. And I think that's where I stand right now, but I wish there was a little bit more history on this graph to really look into it a little bit deeper, but it would either end up passing this resistance level. If it does, then I think that would be a good buying point right here, because at that point you can ride that breakout till this previous resistance level, and that's a pretty good amount of Satoshis that you can earn yourself just riding that up. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here with this KuCoin chart. We'll go ahead and drop back to this trading view chart. We'll go back to home and start seeing what else we have to look at here. Let's go ahead and see what we're looking at in terms of the chat here. Let's take some more requests. You need to add a disclaimer to the show intro and outro. We actually have a disclaimer, man. We have a professionally written disclaimer. I had a lawyer pretty much overlook everything. I had a conversation with a lawyer about it, and we have that in the description. So hopefully that satisfies you, Stefan. Naeem, what's up, brother? Can we get some TA on iOS token? What's your take on being #2 in volume on Binance? Let's go ahead and pull it up. IOST. So if it's not on here, yeah, it is. It's on Binance. So IOST token, not much. So a lot of people are asking me about this token, and the biggest thing I can tell you about this is, in a technical aspect, it's going to be hard to really analyze this. Like in the 1 hour, we can sit here and say, okay, we have these, you know, we have these levels forming here. this is actually descending triangle, but it's not really. I mean, this is too close of a chart in my opinion to determine that, especially with the volume that we saw here with this initial run up. I think that pretty much dilutes this in a technical form. So, you know, that's just the truth. You know, it's the hard truth. You can't necessarily do a technical on this at this point. You know, even if you were to look at this as a descending triangle, because there's these descending resistance levels and these stable horizontal support levels, it doesn't necessarily mean it's, you know, in a descent. You know, because we saw that initial uprise in price from this huge volume that came in, that right there pretty much dilutes this chart, and you're not necessarily going to get a good technical analysis on the IOST token. Now what you can do is you can look at the fundamentals of it. So the other possibility is going up here and pulling up IOST token here and just looking at it, you know, in regards to this total market cap being at $631 million. You can see it's a fairly new token. It was just released January 16th on CoinMarketCap. So being the fact that it's such a new token, I think that's the one thing that would, you know, make it a token that would be necessary to utilize fundamental analysis with to determine where prices are headed. Now, with the project itself, I think that's a whole nother ball game. You know, for a $600 million market cap in that short amount of a time frame, I think that definitely shows something about the project. I'd be interested to look at their social media and see, you know, how much of a community they have. And that's kind of how I develop my fundamental analysis, right? Looking at the community first. So 96,000 followers, that's awesome. Decentralized internet of services, changing the way you eat, pray, and love. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's interesting. So yeah, I mean, I would look at this in a fundamental way, not necessarily a technical way right now. But it's pretty stout, the fact that they have such a huge market cap in such a short amount of time. I mean, even Electronium, one of my coins, you know, it's right around that level too, 654 million. So I'm not going to put anything down on IOST because, you know, I like where it's at. I mean, I think that's how tokens should release. You know, I think that's a good way for tokens to be put into the marketplace, because that means that they worked really hard prior to their token being released to get this in the masses and get the community engaged, get the community driven. And I think that's important for a token like this. So hopefully that helped out in some way, shape, or form. Let's see what else we got here. Somebody said, look at Vechain, VEN. Yes, let's do VEN. So we'll do VEN BTC here. Let's go ahead and pull up VEN and see what's happening here with prices. Looking at VEN right now, you can see we're starting to descend a little bit. Let's go ahead and pull up this total cap here. Go ahead and actually enter this into the graph. Give me 1 second. Okay, perfect. And now that we're watching VEN, I would say looking at this token, if we pull up this on the 1-day chart, you can see we had this initial rise and then we saw a little bit of a descent here. So I would probably want to zoom in to see what's maturing right now with this graph. Let's see here. So interesting. It's a little bit more of a stable run up here on the 3-hour. So if we pull up the 1 hour, we'll see a little bit more of a steeper run up here. Wow, interesting. So you can see here, we're kind of bouncing off of the support line here, right around 56,000 Satoshis. And I would pretty much draw this out right over here. And looks like we have this resistance level. It's slightly descending here, tipping over to this right-hand side. In my opinion, as this resistance levels continues to drop, it's going to start forming more of a narrow channel. Looks like another graph that might need a little bit more maturity here with Vechain. You can see here that there's not really much support. There's only one indicative support, but it's pretty deep of a support level. And what I mean by that is we had this huge downturn here, and that right here actually hit bottom. So you can see this is bottom. When RSI goes under 30, this is going to help a lot of you guys. When you guys look at the RSI, it's important. It's called the Relative Strength Index. It's a momentum indicator. It's showing you where the bottom is, right? It's showing you exactly where this price level is going to bounce if it does end up going down even further. So that is a good indicator to know when to buy, right? So looking at the bottom, you can see this is the RSI showing that it's hit bottom right here. hit under 30. That's why for the most part, you want to see these RSI levels in a healthy zone, which is in this purple. So when the RSI is healthy, that's good. If the RSI is overbought, it's probably not a good time to buy. If it's oversold, it's probably a good time to buy. So like I said, if you were watching this RSI and playing this, check this out, guys. If you were just playing this on the RSI, you could have just said to yourself, okay, we're on a downward trend. Let me watch this RSI to see as soon as it hits bottom, bam, it crossed over. Right here, you could have said to yourself, okay, I'm going to buy right here. And guess what would have happened? Let's say you put $1 million in there, right? Just to be a little bit of an extremist here. You put $1 million in here just because you were playing the RSI. Guess what would have happened? Bam. You would have made all of this profit, and you could have sold right up here. You'd be like, you know what? RSI is pretty high. Let me sell up here. And this would have all been profit here. So you would have had profit from 56,000 Satoshis all the way to around 69,000 Satoshis. So over 10,000 Satoshis gain. And that could have been played just by utilizing this RSI, the relative strength index. So that's why it's such an important tool to use. So hopefully that helps you out. Fig House Production said, stop sounding so sad, dude. We love you, man. I appreciate that, man. Normally you're always streaming when I'm sleeping. Interesting, Walter. That's funny. Somebody says, that's what I do. That's what I do. Also drops. That's awesome, Walter. That's good, man. See, people are utilizing that strategy already. That means they're making money. Somebody says, Dragon, Alfredo, Easy, Kurdem. That's an interesting last name. Abi, can you look at Wabi? That's a funny, I don't know, that rhymes. Somebody says, Habibi, please look at APPC. Which one on the title should we look at? Somebody says, how to see RSI on TradingView? Good question, Christian. I like questions, guys. I like that. You know, it's like if any of you guys are teachers, you guys know how it is when you're teaching the classroom, there's no questions. Doesn't that make you feel kind of like, did I do this right? Like, are they learning anything? Any of you guys teachers? Say I if you're a teacher. But you just right click insert indicator and type in relative strength index, or you can even type in the RSI. It's pretty simple. Or it might not show up if you type in RSI. Type in relative strength index. Relative strength index. That's what the RSI stands for. Ken Shiro said I. Doesn't it get annoying, Ken? Mada Effa said A. Sarah, what if we are just training to be a sniper? Thumbs down. You guys are messing with our promoter, Sarah. She's like, what does she say? She said, what did she say? Let's see if we can hit 200 likes. Everyone snipe that like button. Quick scope the like button if you're a real sniper. Somebody said OMG, MCO. There's an airport called MCO in Orlando. Somebody said XRP. We can definitely look at XRP. Let's pull up Stratis. Let's pull up Stratis. That's in the title. I think that's going to be important. So we'll do Stratis. Stratis Bitcoin on Bittrex. Let's go ahead and pull this up and see what's happening here with Stratis. So looking at this graph, let's pull up a 1 day, get a little bit of a better perspective. Typically what I like to do when I'm looking at any technicals, sometimes I go to the 1 week, but I typically don't. But I will start from a zoomed out perspective and then slowly zoom in. And the reason you want to do that is it's like, if you're a photographer, right, and you want to get a really good shot at something, first you want to look at the overall picture before you zoom into a specific subject, right? And it's the same exact thing here. You want to look at the overall picture and then zoom in like that. So somebody said, this is funny. Luke Dragonslayer, correction for you. If you put in $1 million, there would have to be enough buyers to make that profit at that amount. Normally a big sell like that would scare people away. That's true, actually. If you put in $1 million, it would have drove the price up. So good catch, Luke. I like it. We got some smart snipers in the house. He's probably a spotter already. Somebody said, hey Naeem Zabibi, I won Internet of Money last night. Here's my question to you. This page is primarily quantitative analysis. What is a project that you're excited about only from a quantitative analysis? Do you mean from a qualitative analysis? Because you just kind of, I don't know if that was a contradiction. Primarily quantitative, but then you said, and you asked me about another quantitative. If you're talking about what project I'm excited about in a qualitative analysis, I would say Stellar. Stellar, if you watched my video today, I've been really excited about Stellar recently. I just have a feeling that Stellar is going to have a big year. I don't know about you guys, but Stellar, man. Somebody says, I found your old COD channel. Ha ha ha, dope. That's awesome, man. Somebody says, hi, Name. Could you please explain how to take profits? For example, if a coin goes up 20%, do you just sell off the 20% or do you just sell the whole 120%? It depends. It's called setting up a profit target strategy. So there's different types of profit taking strategies. I would recommend you come up with one and you stick to it. That's really the biggest thing you have to know. It's staying consistent with your pattern. So there's one, somebody says I meant qualitative. So yeah, qualitative would be Stellar. The one profit taking strategy I would recommend is paying yourself in some way, shape, or form in the market, right? The best traders in the world, they know how to pay themselves. Even the hodlers can pay themselves. What I mean by that is I have a friend of mine that, you know, he invests in these no cap coins, right? And the best example I can give is what he'll actually do with these no caps. And I'll show you exactly what he'll do. So he will literally go on CoinMarketCap, and this is how he makes his money. This is just one strategy. It's probably not, you know, I'm not advocating this one. I'm just going to show you this as an example of a way of taking profits, and then you can kind of come up with your own strategy based upon this one. So hopefully this will help some of you guys out. Let me go ahead and pull up this graph here for you. Okay, I'll show you that in just a sec. So look at that. Stellar's 6.95% up. Look at that. We're seeing a sea of green. I like that. So he would go onto these prices and he would actually click number 100, or he'll click view all. He'll do 100 like this, and he will literally go through these really, really low cap coins, like pretty much with no market cap, right? And I'm not advocating this, I'm just showing you this as an example. So he'll come down to this list and drop it all the way down. If this thing were to load. Okay. So I think it froze. Let that load a little bit. It's going to take time to load. Even though we have a GTX 1070 running this, it's still taking time. That's how you know how many coins there are, right? So there you go. That went ahead and loaded. So looking at this, pretty much what you want to determine is, let's say you are going down to these really, really low cap coins. This is what he does. He'll go down to these coins, and you see how these coins get lower and lower in market cap. Some of these coins have no market cap, right? So you have all these random coins, but he'll pretty much mess around with these coins right here with the smaller market caps that already have some sort of substantial amounts. So you have Apple Coin, Abitri Coin, ABN Coin, Digital Credits, Digital Money, Harmony Coin, Twister Coin, Caliph Coin. And what he'll do, this is his profit strategy, right? And I'm only explaining this to show you his profit strategy. Understand, I'm not advocating this method because this is very dangerous and risky. Going for these lower cap coins is extremely risky. I'm telling you that right now. That's just the truth. A lot of money that can be made, but it's very risky. So he'll come in here and he'll put $50, $50, $50, $50, $50, $50, $50, $50, $50 in let's say 10 of these coins. And he'll literally just sit on those coins, set up alerts, or he'll continuously watch them. You know, you can use Blockfolio and different applications to track your portfolios, right? And he'll set up his profit strategy for each individual coin. Typically, just to use this as a general rule of thumb, he'll say that if any of these coins quadruple in price, which means they 4x in price, then I'm going to take out all of the profits and leave the initial investment, just in case this coin ends up being pretty big, right? Because if you would have put 50 bucks in Bitcoin when it was worth 1 cent, you would have been pretty satisfied today. So it's still important to keep your investment in some cases. So that's his profit taking strategy. So let's say one of these coins pops, right? And the $50 turns into 100, 150, 200. Quadruples, right? He'll take $150 and then he'll take $50 and put it in another coin, another $50, put it in another coin, and another $50 and put it in another coin. So he'll take the profits and then diversify that 3x. So it's called leverage. The more spread out you are, the more leverage you have in the market. Because leverage, once again, if we were to pull up the definition here for those of you that are learning, we can type in market leverage. It's having here. Leverage can be used in a similar way in the stock market. Margin loans, futures contracts, and options are a few of the more common methods by which investors, so they're talking about leverage in terms of like shorting or margin trading, but I'm talking about leverage in the manner of spreading yourself out so that you have the ability to take advantage of different pops, right? That gives you leverage over the market because now you have more chances of reaping the percentage profits of any sort of breakout in the market. So that right there was one of the profit strategies that I heard of, that I've heard of, and I wouldn't set that up if you're trading larger and smaller or mid cap coins, because if you're trading larger and mid cap coins, the issue with that is the larger and mid cap coins take a lot more to really quadruple, right? So for Bitcoin to go from 188 billion and quadruple into 600 to 800 billion takes a lot, right? Compared to a coin that's 1 million to go to 4 million. So that's why he utilizes that approach with these smaller coins, which are more risky. So you can utilize that same strategy and do it in a different way, maybe with these larger cap top 20 coins, and say, okay, if this doubles or if I'm at a 10% profit, I'll take that 10% profit and then maybe put that in a small cap. So think about that. Now you can leverage not only the large and mid caps, but you can leverage these smaller cap coins. And then those smaller cap coins that do pop, you can take those profits, put them back into larger cap or mid caps. So it really depends on how much capital you're playing with, in my opinion. I've done a lot of some portfolio reviews, and I've seen different types of portfolios with a lot of different types of capital. And some of them that have more capital can really leverage these pops a lot more than others, right? When you're putting in 1% of your portfolio and 1% is $10,000 into a small cap coin, and that 10,000 turns into 80,000, they have more leverage over the market, right? A lot of this is about leverage. Actually in this book, Principles, it talks a lot about leverage. Highly recommend this book. If you guys want something to read, this one right here. Ray Dalio runs one of the largest hedge funds in the world called Bridgewater. He wrote this book. He's actually an introvert. He doesn't really speak out much, and this is the first time that he felt like he wanted to give back to the community for all of the success he's had in his life. He predicted the 2008 crisis when everybody was doubting him, and he's just known to be an investing mogul, right? He's a prominent name in the investors world, and that's what you guys are in right now. Cryptocurrency is its own ball game, but at the same time, the most relatable industry to cryptocurrency right now is traditional market investing, right? So hopefully that helps out a little bit. And let's go ahead and dive right in here. Somebody said, all right, in this market you can get wiped out and have no leverage. Interesting. Somebody says BTC is undervalued. Matt Marin said, hey, Naeem, can you take a look at WTC? I want to get in, but I am hoping for a dip. It's grown double digits for about a week, or some technical analysis on link. Please, I've been holding for a while. Cup and handle. I don't even know what you're saying right now, dude. But if you were to just post it, I think that would have been easier. Let's go ahead and look at our VIP access here really quick. WTC. Are you talking about Walton coin? Because I know a lot of people have been talking about Walton coin. Apparently, it's had this huge run up, so we can always look at that in just a second here. Well, let's go ahead and pull up. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's pull up this Discord really quick and see what's happening here. There's VIP access. RDN. Okay, let's do RDN really quick. RDN BTC, see what's happening here. Okay, fairly new coin too. Might not be able to do a technical here, but that's a 1 week. Let's do a 1 day. A little bit more. Still volatile. A lot of these coins, when they first pop in the market, they're going to be extremely volatile because you have a lot of different people putting in different amounts of capital, and it's really, especially if the volume is low. So if we were to pull in the volume here for RDN, we can see here the Raiden Network token. I know people were talking about this today in our voice chat. 217 million, yeah, still pretty small. Currently trading on Binance, awesome. So most of it's in Huobi, which is interesting. And looking at this coin though, there's obviously some support and resistance lines. I would play this with the MACD and the RSI. I mean, if you're trying to get a buying position here, I'd probably get the buying position right around these levels. You know, it's probably going to swing back to these levels. The reason I say that, I mean, the 1 day with the 50-day moving average, it's right on top of it. That's probably why it's finding some support right now, right around 36,000. But it very much has a chance of breaking this. So sometimes what you can do when you're playing these large swings is if it's finding support off the 50-day and that makes you, you know, feel like it's going to stay around there and then start heading up, and then you can always put a buy order in right here at the right above the 50-day and then set up a stop loss right under, because if it drops below the 50-day, then it can most likely start following these other indicators like the RSI and the MACD, where the MACD and RSI indicate the prices are probably going to start heading down, right? Because you can see we have all this room here, you know, going from even just 30 up to where we're at right now. It's about 65% away from where it could be in terms of RSI. And then you can see that MACD, it's already swung once from this bottom end and swung up already. So we saw that pendulum pretty much go up, and now it's on its way down. So that momentum is going to bring it down. And with this overall pattern, you can see it's descending. It's not necessarily a descending triangle just yet. I would say that we'd want to get a little bit more of these levels, but for the most part, that is the pattern that is forming. Now, the cool part about this is it's on the 50-day, so that's always a good sign of support, and you can use the 50-day moving average quite a bit, and that's exactly what this is bouncing off of right now. So I would say if you're going to do that buy strategy, wouldn't it be bad to buy it at the 50-day, being the fact that it's right along this line? But there's also potential for this to drop down based on the RSI and the MACD. You know, volume is starting to decrease as well, so that is never a good indicator. You can see volume right here pretty much starting to go down, and this whole area here, volume is pretty high. And so I would say it's a coin that has potential to possibly swing back, being that it's on that 50-day, because you can see when it did go from that 50-day, it was right around 64% away. But right now, with where it's at right now, it's either going to be a good buy or a good sell, you know. And what I mean by that is if it swings down, you can probably get a better position down at these support levels around 14,000 Satoshis, which would obviously be a good place to buy. So hopefully that helps out. Somebody says, hey Naeem, I really think MCO is about to break out. It is forming a huge pennant, but it would really help if you did it like a 2-minute analysis. MCO BTC. Let's go ahead and see what's happening here with MCO. That's not a pennant. And the reason it's not a pennant is because you have an ascending support line, but this is a descending resistance line. But the issue with this descending resistance line is it overextends away from that. So if you're going to draw it from there, you also have to draw this from here, right? And this is very premature pennant, if you were to call it a pennant. This right here could be considered a pennant, right? Because right here you can see you have that initial breakout. So it is, you know, it's a pennant on the 1 day for sure. And I actually might like this coin, to be honest with you. This actually looks kind of good. Yeah, this looks really good. Kind of changing my mind. Now that I'm looking at it a little bit more in depth, look at that volume. So it had a volume spur out of nowhere. Wow, thank you for recommending this coin. This is actually really good. Marco Pons. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all. How about that? Because you're going to regret it. Looking at this chart, in my opinion, being the fact that we saw this spur in volume come out of nowhere, that's typically a good sign that there's going to be something in the future. Not only that, all-time high here, at least in this chart, 526,000 Satoshis. And we're sitting around 108,000 Satoshis. Looks like we found some strong support right here, right on that 30, around 50,000 Satoshis, which we're kind of a little bit away from now. 54,000 Satoshis. And looking back, pretty much stayed around those levels. So we had this huge run up come up. This volume was greater than the volume we saw here, but this volume brought the price up a lot higher. So in my opinion, looking at this chart right now, could definitely see something starting to swing up. Another indicator I like here is the MACD. Look at the MACD. This fast line is starting to cross. It's going to cross in between that slow line. Every time that fast line crosses, look what happens here. It crossed right here, and then if you were to connect this up, right? Look what happened. Bam. So when that MACD crosses, this price tends to swing. So same thing here. Yeah, you can see that MACD got close. See, MACD got close, and then look what happened. Bam, right here. When the MACD got close. So we're seeing that same exact run up. So you see how the MACD here, how it was getting close, almost like a magnet pushing it away. That brought that price high, and then you see here the MACD is starting to come back close to the slow line. So RSI is in a great level. It's healthy. I can see this coin starting to see a little bit of positive upside soon, for sure. I would say that in terms of price levels, I mean, this could be a swing trade, so you know, you can always put your buy in just like you do with any pennant. So any pennant, I like to buy within this zone as it gets tighter and tighter, and it starts to squeeze more. And once I put in that buy order, what I'll do is I'll have stop losses set up in layers, right? Because the pennant is an ascending support line. So anytime you have an ascending support line, the best strategy is to utilize layered buying and selling. So I would set up my buys right here in different percentages and layer that out here like that. Maybe do 50%, 25%, and 25% right there. Set up stop losses properly, so you're managing your risk, and then have that work its way into this triangle to eventually hopefully pop, right? So that's kind of what I would say for this chart. Good call, man, whoever called this one. Thank you. Somebody says BitShares. Let's do BitShares. BTS. BTS. All right, this is the Polynix graph. Let's look at what price levels are looking like here. So we just saw a swing. Now, looking at this chart, we had this initial breakout. We had a couple breakouts with BitShares. Looks like overall, let's see here. Are we forming any sort of cup or rounding bottom? Doesn't look like a rounding bottom to me, not yet. We could have probably called this one a little bit earlier, to be honest with you, because it did come from this descent, and then it hit these levels where it previously had a huge support at, which was right around 143 satoshis, and then this was a little bit higher because obviously this buy volume, some of it stayed, most of it stayed. You don't see any sell volume that high, right? So it went around 722 satoshis. So when that buy volume is so high here, this is pretty much institutional money that comes in. And then being the fact that there was no sell volume at that high level, right? You don't see any sell volume that high level, typically means that the retail investors are the ones that pulled out here, not the institutional investors. And that's why you see this now forming bottom support at a level higher where it previously was, because the more money in the market that stays in the market, the higher it keeps the price up. So looking at this right now, let's take this line out of the equation that doesn't represent anything. It looks like we're finding some resistance here where we previously found some resistance back here. I would draw that out. I would actually draw out the resistance right up here. So sometimes people ask me, how do I utilize the wicks? You can utilize the wicks in certain manners. It's really up to you, but sometimes the way I like to utilize the wicks is I like to look, like if we were to draw this, this is going to help a lot of you guys, by the way. So you guys need to focus right here. When setting up your resistance and support levels, one of the most basic forms of one of the basic trading rules, and what you want to do is, let's say you were to set it up here, that doesn't correspond with any previous resistance lines, but you also have to look at the wicks and say, well, if I put it on the wicks, does that correspond with anything? And if you look here, if you put this right on top of that wicks, corresponds identically with this resistance line. So you're trying to basically find out, when doing technical analysis, you're trying to find out where does this most likely see either support or resistance, or in better layman's terms, where does this see ground, or where does this see peak, right? Because it's a peak and a trough, and your goal is to manage your trades within these channels, your support and resistance lines, to know your entry and exit points. And that's why you use all of these different indicators, right? So at this point, I think we're going to be riding within this channel, and being at the price levels are pretty much at this level right now, at these highs. I don't typically like to buy at those highs. I like to buy at certain points. Either if I'm doing a breakout, I can buy right here where the prices break out, because that means I have a potential of going all the way up here back to these previous resistance levels, and that's a 94% gain on my money. Or what happens is, if it doesn't break out, this ends up dropping, what you can do is you can set up your buys right here at these lower levels. If you buy them at these lower levels, what will tend to happen is it will ride along this channel. So a lot of people that have a lot of money will sometimes do this while the coin is in this channel. They'll wait for it to go down, they'll make the buy order right here, and then they'll let it just go up, maybe go back to where it previously was, and that's a huge gain right there. So, you know, that's 396%. That's not 396% of your money, that's in terms of the graph, but that's probably a good chunk of money. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. Somebody said wicks can be helpful. Yes, definitely, because nothing is exact. Understand that. You're trying your best to assume a pattern, and that's the best way to do that. Could you explain how to use limit stop on Binance, please? I never seem to do it right. LOL. Yeah, there's two parts to a limit stop order. Pretty simple. Good question. Pretty much what you want to do is, when you pull up a Binance chart, you go to basic right here. In order to set up a stop loss, there's a stop and then there's a loss or a limit, right? So you go to stop limit, and it's different in every chart. But let's say you wanted to set up a stop limit here. For example, if we were to trade, let's take USDT, let's do BNB USDT, and let's say we want to buy this at 20, right? 20 on the dot. We wanted to place a buy order. What you can do in order to use this, you can do the stop at 20, and what you'll also do is you'll have to set up a limit. So the difference between a stop and a stop limit, so there's a market, there's a stop, like a market order, and the market order it immediately gets entered into the system, and if it doesn't immediately fill, it cancels. And if you have a limit order set up, then it creates this little gap. It's almost like a threshold of where the price can sell. So you can do 20, between 20, and let's say you set up 20.65. So what now happens is you have this gap. So now it gives you, it's almost like a safety net, right? So if you do an immediate, I don't think you can do immediate here. I'm sure you can, but it doesn't show it here. That would be considered a market order. So you go to a market order, and then it forces you to do the market price. But see, this is a limit order. So the limit orders, they're market order basically. So this one, if you do 20 here, and then you do, let's say 500 BNB, then this will only buy this at 20 US dollars. But if it doesn't get filled, it gets canceled. So it's more of a riskier approach, right? If you do the stop limit, well, the limit will actually buy anywhere between current price and that price, and then stop limit will go from the stop price 20 to the limit price. So don't use limit at 20 because it will initialize your order immediately. But the stop limit, that's what the stop is for. So it stops at this price, and then it fills between that and the limit price, and then you put the amount. Sorry, it gets confusing. Somebody says, please explain how to use Binance side graphs. Man, I feel like a teacher today. So the side graphs here, are you talking about the order books? So these are the order books. So these pretty much have all the order prices here, the sell and the buys. So you pretty much have the amount here, BNB, and the price. So the lower prices are going to be at the bottom here in terms of these sell orders, and then these are pretty much, it's the opposite. So you have this one 13.16, 13.21. The higher prices here, and the buy orders are on the buy orders, because obviously if you're selling your coins, you're going to sell them at the market price, right? So the market price is pretty much this middle price here. And that's why you see 13.21 here, 06 is the actual price here, because that's where they converge. And we have a video on that. We don't need to teach that right now. If you go on Marcus Koster's video, he actually explained this in depth. So I'd highly recommend doing that. Let's go ahead and do some more technical analysis, and then we're going to head over to our Night Owl tonight, guys. That's going to be held under our voice channels, under Voice 2. So I look forward to seeing some of you guys there. We're going to be under Voice 2, actually Voice 1. We're going to be under Voice 1 tonight for the Night Owl, not Voice 2, Voice 1. So we don't want to interrupt everybody that's already here, though a lot of them will most likely come up here. But we're going to be under Voice 1 for our Night Owl. I'm actually going to join in right now, put this on mute. And I look forward to seeing you guys there. For those of you that are new to our channel, we're going to go in there and discuss and have a awesome discussion on what is in the news today and in the know for crypto. So let's go ahead and pull up another graph here. We're going to be looking at, let's see, did we do Vechain, Neo, BitShares? We did RaiBlocks. Did we do Stratis already? I think we did Stratis, right? No, we didn't look at Stratis. So looking at Stratis, you can see we're starting to go up, bouncing off of that 50-day moving average. This is an interesting coin, and the reason I tell you this is interesting is because you can see we're starting to descend down. We're finding that support line, pretty strong support right around 37,000 Satoshis. And not only that, it's kind of similar to that previous graph that we saw, where we saw this kind of round itself about, where we had that initial huge breakout with that spur of volume. The only difference here is there's a lot less volume, in my opinion, than that previous graph that we saw. So the other one was probably better than this one. The reason I say that is because, you know, the MACD here is not as attractive to me. The RSI is a little bit higher, and it's coming from some previous highs. So not as attractive as that other chart that we saw. However, it's definitely ascending. You can see this ascending support level, and then there's that ascending resistance level as well. So looking at that, it's starting to go up. It could definitely be a channel to trade on. Now, what I would actually look at in this graph, let me actually clear this up for you to see, is looking at these previous levels here. So you can see we found some resistance here right around 166,000 Satoshis, where we're also finding resistance right now. So you can see here, there's that resistance line right here, and the resistance line right here. I wouldn't really call this a rounding bottom just yet, because I don't think this is steep enough to consider a rounding bottom, because you saw this initial upside. So typically with a rounding bottom, you want to see a large steep downtrend. And based upon the fact that it's bouncing off that 50-day, I think this could be a good one to trade on the 50-day. So let's say it goes up like it is, and it starts to head back down. You can see this RSI, this fast one is about to cross. It's probably going to end up going more. And then it might test this one more time, drop back down. By the time that happens, this RSI will probably be under 70. If it's dropping back down, it'll probably go touch 70, drop back down. And then if you were trying to get a buy price, I would say let that 50-day catch up to that price and then buy at the 50-day, because you can see bounced off of it once, twice, 3 times, went under it for quite a bit. Anytime it's under the 50-day, that's usually a really good time to buy, right? You see when that drops under that 50-day, it gets into these really, it really puts its price in a good position, because prices typically will always end up verging off of that 50-day. So if you actually pull up BTC's graph, you can see something very similar, bouncing off that 50-day for quite a bit. Now we're bouncing on that 100-day. We're staying, forming that horizontal pattern there on that 100-day, or the 100-day. So it's going to be pretty wild ride here for Bitcoin. We're starting to see these very stable prices, but what I like about this is if you look at this MACD on the 1 day, you can see this MACD is starting to cross over towards that slow line from that fast line. Not only that, this RSI is fairly low, right around 40, but it hasn't hit bottom yet like it did here. So it hit bottom here, it hit bottom here, but it hasn't hit bottom here yet. So that's why I still expect a little bit more downside for Bitcoin. I think that it's going to touch this buy zone. And if it does go down to that buy zone, a lot of coins are going to follow. And at that point, in my opinion, the best buy time is here, because that RSI, as soon as it touches that bottom, that's when prices will swing. We might see another swing in price, and being the MACD is about to cross. So I think we might see a little bit of another bull trap. And it's kind of what's happening right now. If you pull up this coin market cap area, you can see it's looking like a bull trap, right? We have all these positive prices here in the green past 24 hours. So definitely that potential there. Let's go ahead and take some questions from the audience. Let's see what questions we got, and then we're going to start heading over to our night owl tonight, guys. A little bit of a shorter night, but to be honest with you, I was trying to get the equipment set up right, making sure things were done correctly, because we had that issue with that lag, which was a little bit frustrating because I have this gaming laptop with a 1070 GTX, but it was still lagging, which was ridiculous. Edwin says, shout out to you and all the knowledge you're putting out there, brother. Love watching all of your content. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, bro. That stuff helps out, man. I love hearing that, man. Like, it really does. It drives me, man, because you know, there's a lot of criticism with content. Any content creator gets a lot of criticism, and it's constructive. It's nothing bad, but man, like, you ever had that friend that always corrects you? You ever had that friend that's like, hey, dude, you can't do that. Hey, dude, you got to do that. It's like, shut up! Dude, shut up! You know, like, sometimes you just want to scream at them. Sorry if I scared anybody. Now, could you check out Prime Coin? It's an old coin that seems to be getting a little bit of life brought back into it. I was curious if you could do a quick tea on it. Thanks, man. XPM, Samuel. Somebody says, ha 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 ha. Can you take a quick look at Cardano? We'll look at XPM. That was a kind note. I like that. XPM BTC. Looking at XPM, we got these. Okay, a lot of coins are doing this. A little bit different here. If this one actually forms out properly, this could be a potential cup and handle. And the reason this one is a little bit different is there's initial breakout here, and it's just enough, in my opinion, to consider it a cup and handle. Because look, do this on a 1 day, you can see, and then you see this roundabout. Now it's starting to head up. So what I would look at in this coin, if this touches here, finds resistance, which it probably will. And the reason I say that is look at this RSI. RSI is nearing that high level. MACD is starting to get kind of swindled away with that slow line, pretty high. So this is probably going to drop. This is probably going to go up, test, drop. This is going to go up, drop. If that happens, bam, that's the cup and handle. Whoa, right here. This will most likely drop down here. So if you're looking to buy, I would say buy here, and then it will most likely bounce off this and then form that cup, right? Just like we're looking at XLM. Look at that. This is what we predicted the other day. And guess what happened? Exactly what happened is what we predicted. Look at that. We didn't see that red candlestick yesterday when we drew this out. No, this was the cup and handle forming itself, right? So XLM is still following the exact. If you guys are getting our trading alerts on Patreon, you know I said don't buy it here. I think on the trading alert it's a lot more clear how I put it, and it's really indicative of what we're seeing now. Like if you look here on posts, you can see what we posted. It didn't have this red candlestick yet, so I like posting these swing trades because it gives people time to really get in on it, right? So this one was right here. So you can see here, Stellar XLM. So this is the trading view chart. This is the trading alert I sent out. So I was predicting that it was going to go up more, which look at what happened. It did. It went up more, and then I was predicting it was going to bounce back. bam, look what happened. It bounced back. So far it's following my prediction. I'm expecting this to drop lower as expected with Bitcoin's downtrend that I'm most likely expecting as well. Once we see that initial breakout, we'll see that bull trap, we'll see it drop back down because RSI is so high. And then this will form its handle. And then I think right here is where we'll see that pop. So other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. I am going to call this one early unless we have any more VIP access requests. Any requests for live stream? So let's ask our VIPs really quick. And let's go ahead and take a couple while we're doing that on our chat log here, and we'll give away a book as well. So here's a question for you guys. In order to win this book, the question for the book giveaway is going to be, who is the author of Principles? If you guys want to win the Internet of Money, I'm going to be giving away a book. Who's the author of Principles? I'm going to give it to the second person that says it on my chat log. Who is the author of Principles? Has to be spelled right. The second person gets it. Highly recommend this book. So there you go. Samuel Franz. Congratulations, Samuel. Good for you, brother. John Caldwell said, don't forget to let me in Discord, please. Yeah, I got your Facebook message, brother. We'll talk in just a second. But good job, Samuel. Congratulations. The Internet of Money for you, brother. Go ahead and send me a message on Twitter, and we'll go ahead and verify your YouTube account and get you that book, brother, sent out to you. Congratulations. I highly recommend this book, guys. It really goes into the distributed ledger, and it means, you know, it means that you're going to be knowledgeable on what you're doing, right? So if you go here to our Discord and you go to helpful reads, all of the books that we recommend is on here. And once again, let's go ahead and finish up these requests, guys, and we'll move on to our night owl for the night. So it doesn't look like we have any more VIP requests. Sounds like a plan. Let's go ahead and take one more request from you guys. If you know the answer, you don't need the book. That's funny. I don't get that because some people just know the answer. Ray Dalio is a very influential individual in this market. Somebody says, hey, man, big fan of what you're doing. If you get the chance, can you check out TRX anyways? Thanks, my man. For sure, actually. I think TRX is a pretty popular coin that we should look at. TRX BTC, doing exactly what I expected. It's pretty simple in my opinion. We're probably going to trend down to this 50-day. We're going to find horizontal support here. As that happens, I think this is going to start to drop down. I would look to see if you're looking to get a buy price, buy it when the RSI does this and it dips down. I think that's the best buying opportunity for Tron because it's had so much volume, so much attention recently. Let's really wait till we find the bottom here before we put in any buy orders. That's my opinion. In terms of sell orders, if you're holding Tron, I mean, I never recommended to buy at these higher levels. So if you're at a loss, it is what it is, right? You got in on the hype and you want to buy the hype, sell the news, but you probably bought the news, and most people bought the news. So currently, if we were to pull up the 1 day, for those of you that are holding Tron, wondering what to do with it, let's see how we're looking. It looks like we have some strong resistance here on 956 Satoshis, which is expected. It's a big even. Anytime you have a big even like that, 1,000 Satoshis, 2,000 Satoshis, you can expect to find some sort of resistance. Looks like we're having some sort of ascending support levels forming, which is good. Indicator of some positive price movements. But for the most part, the real support, in my opinion, is this horizontal support line here. So if we were to take away the pattern and just look at the support, it's pretty much right around 581 Satoshis. And it's following that channel. It's starting to get a little bit more squeezed. So depending on where you bought in, you know, you have to make a decision on what you want to do. But, you know, that's why I have my stop loss set up, especially if I'm buying a breakout. Let this pattern mature a little bit. That's what I'd say. Let it stay horizontal. There's a little bit of some buying spur coming in. So that's really what I would do. Somebody says, get you and the crew a case of LaCroix on me. Thank you all. Thanks for all Sorry, man, I'm tired. Thanks for all you and the team does. For sure, Jacob Peters. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that, brother. I'm going to get a box of LaCroix now. Zach Crocker, OMG, please, love your channel. Thank you, man. Somebody says RSI lines. What should I set RSI at? Should I change it for different charts? I don't necessarily do that. You know, my RSI, I pretty much keep it at 14. So it's really up to you. Some people like to change that to 9. Some people like to change it to 16. I mean, people have different preferences. So I like to keep it at 14, and that's really my preference. So different traders, you know, if you don't know why you're changing it, then you probably shouldn't. You should leave it at its default. That's what I would say. Unless you know exactly why, if you're utilizing it. Some people, when they're using it in, you know, in conjunction with a Fibonacci retracement or a MACD, they'll alter that level and that. Somebody says you're so tired. No, I'm not. I'm fine. Woo! Sorry about that. All right, guys, we're gonna be heading over our night owl. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. We'll have another live stream tomorrow, but we're gonna be heading over to Voice 1 tonight. So you can see, wow, we got tons of people here. Look at that. I like it. We got a nice split here. Everybody head over to Voice 1 tonight for the night owl. We'll be taking in your questions. If you guys have a microphone, you can plug it in. In order to utilize it, just click user settings in this bottom hand side. Click voice and video. Click, somebody says, this guy don't know what you're doing. Bob Riley. If you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all, man. Why don't you get on the live stream, brother? You probably won't. So voice and video, push to talk, shortcut, and that's how you're going to be able to talk. Samuel, $5. Steam seems to be making a cup and handle currently. I'd be curious if I'm reading this TA correctly. That's a good question. Let's do Steam. No cup and handle. I don't see a clear cup forming here, but there's obviously this breakout. You can see here. Well, you can, I guess you can, if you're going to consider this a cup and handle, actually, let me see here. You got the breakout. Let me do something here really quick. This is typically what I use. Let me do a little bit. Sorry if this confuses some of you guys, because I know not everybody knows how to use all of this, but I just want to check something here. It looks like, okay, now here's the issue with this one. In a cup and handle, what you want to look for is you want to see these even resistance lines. So if you go to tools, you can see here in a cup and handle, these are even and the handle forms under this resistance. The issue here is this was the quote-unquote cup, right? Because you can't consider this a cup. It's way too high from this point. But you can consider this the cup, right? The top, the base, the breakout, the consolidation. But the issue here that doesn't make this a cup and handle is this right here. You see how it goes above? So in a cup and handle, you don't want that to go above. You don't want it to go up here and then drop. You want it to drop right as it hits that resistance. So not a cup and handle, but it's definitely an ascending pattern, right? Steam is obviously going up, but I just wanted to teach you a little bit there. But yeah, so Steam is obviously going up. Volume is starting to increase. That's interesting. Probably going to see a little bit of downside right now. You can see this MACD is starting to curve back. RSI touched 70. You're going to curve back. So it pretty much already saw its run up. I'd be interested to see where this starts to head. I think you should probably watch this over time, because if this starts to break out higher than this, it's probably going to go back to these previous resistance levels, which are right around 93,000 Satoshis. So if it breaks out from here and it starts to go further, like if it passes this, then I would start to, you know, potentially put in a buy order to take profits when it touches that resistance. So there is definitely that potential. We got another super chat. Okay, for sure, we can do this. AMB. Hopefully this helps out a little bit. AMB BTC. Thank you so much, Sardell. Appreciate it, man. A little bit of a premature chart here. Let me pull up volume, make sure that this is a legitimate technical here. A little bit low. Here's the issue with this one, brother. This one is a little bit low in terms of market cap to determine the technical on this one. I don't want to sit here and draw this out when it doesn't necessarily matter as much in this case. You know, a lot of people say technicals don't matter, and it's true, especially when market cap is low, right? Technicals really work well when there's high volume. This volume is extremely low. Look at that, 15 million. It's very low volume. This can be easily manipulated. You would need to do I would do a fundamental analysis on this coin. So I would pull up the website and I would look and see trusted quality of food and medicine, combining high-tech sensors, blockchain protocol, and smart contracts. We are building a universally verifiable, community-driven ecosystem to ensure the quality, safety, and origin of products. Interesting. So it's a supply chain ICO. A lot of supply chain ICOs out there. Let's see community support really quick. 11.4 thousand, not bad. Not the best, but not bad. Pretty typical of a coin worth, you know, right over 147 million. At this point, there's not much technicals to do. If we pull up the 1 hour though, let's say you're a swing trader, we can always look at that. Or day trader. Yeah, very volatile. Not much of a pattern forming. But you can see how it keeps on forming this cup. I like trading these actually. These are fun to trade because this is probably going to do this. These are some of the funnest trades for me. I call them marshmallows because it just keeps forming these little bumps, and then if you look at it, it's funny to me. These are easy trades in my opinion because you just watch this RSI and look. This is how people make a lot of money sometimes. Sometimes whales will put in tons of money in day trade like this, and they'll just, you know, RSI peaks, sell there, bam, they'll wait for this swing, they'll buy anything under 40 RSI. So right here it touched 38, so they buy here, bam, they sell here, bam, that's all. Look at that, that's profit, drops down, anything under 40, here it hit 39, they'll buy here, and then they'll wait, bam, they'll sell here, and then people can make tons of money like that. So that's how day trading works. If you guys want a little synopsis of, you know, day trading, and man, I used to do this every day. Like, man, I used to have bloodshot eyes just looking at graphs like this and just bam, watching this. Literally, I would literally, man, I still remember the good old days. I still do it sometimes, right? Just hours, like 8-9 hours sitting on a graph, just hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars at some point, and just trading back and forth, right? Like waiting for this to go up, bam, set up that stop loss up here. And you can set up a stop loss as a sell order, right? And to make money though, in a profit. So I'll set it up here, bam, profits. I'll wait. As soon as it hits under 40, I'll buy here with confidence, and then see that thing run up. Somebody says, is RSI the only thing to watch for day trading? No, not necessarily. I mean, you can see it's bouncing off the Fibonacci too. Look at this Fibonacci, it bounced off the green. So there's a lot of indicators you can use here. Bounced off Fibonacci, broke this second level Fibonacci, which basically means it's probably going to drop back down to the second level support. That's more technical. That's the stuff I go through with some of the people that I do training with, but just I'll do it here really quick for those of you watching this right now, since you stuck through. So one cool indicator here when you're day trading, if it drops, let's say it's finding support at a Fibonacci, that means it's following Fibonacci, right? So if it's following Fibonacci, you can assume that what happens in the Fibonacci can be a predictor of prices. So if I were to watch this and I saw that it bounced off the Fibonacci, I would say, okay, I would obviously buy here because it went under 40 RSI. I would get my entry because of the RSI. I'd enter, and then I'd see it swing up. I'd be like, okay, it broke through the blue, bam, oh, it broke through the red. So now it broke through 2 Fibonacci levels in one breakout. That would have made me assume that it was going to bounce back down here at this Fibonacci level. And look what happened. It did. Bounced right here, went up, dropped back down here, and then RSI, once again, under 40. I would have bought here. I would have known that it wasn't going to go back here because it crossed over twice. So if it crosses twice, It's probably going to drop back to the previous one, not this one it came from. That's the trick here. So you're very welcome, Solar Star Ninja. Thank you. All right, guys. I am out of here. We're going to be heading over to our night out. I'd love to see you guys there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. And like always, I'm going to say bye to all of you guys. Take care, Reverend. Take care, Sardell. Take care, Yakov. Take care of Creeds. Take care, Telemaster. Take care, Past the X. Take care, guys. Sarev, Samuel, Walter, Christian, Ripple Team XRP. Good night, brother. Gustav. Thank you, man. You have a good night. Take care, Fig House. This looks like a smiley face king. Awesome. You're very welcome. Take care, Gabriel. Take care, Trung. All right, guys. Until next time, Snipers out. Ah, that did not work. Oh, that did.